He's just having issues with his knee, and trying to make sure that he's full speed on that. Nick McCann has chosen not to be a part of this program anymore based on his decision. Keyshawn Carter is having surgery today, had surgery today, broken collarbone, so out for the season.
We'll go to Jarrett Johnson.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Jarrett.
Bradford and Hutchings. Do you have updates on them? I know they kind of were hobbled.
No, they're good to go. Practiced all day today. Yeah, they came back into the game too at the end.
Okay, just wanted to double check on them. And then, like Don said, you mentioned kind of in the last bye week or off week, whatever you call it, that you were 9-2, or the program's 9-2 under you in your head coaching career. Can you kind of just go into that and some of the success y'all had?
Well, you're talking about post-bye week, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think, Jarrett, we believe in the plan that we put our coaches and our players through during bye week. Really, each bye week, Jarrett, is a little different in terms of the amount of practice and how heavy the practice is, and actually who's practicing. There's times where I give the veterans some of the end of the practice off, and we go lift and run. When I say veterans, not so much always age, Jarrett, but percentage of snaps. So it's starters, but even a lot of the freshmen and sophomore starters will still practice longer. It's a mix of rest with the right weight room. We lift pretty heavy during bye week. Internally, we don't typically start on the opponent until middle of the week, till the end. We do a pretty heavy self-scout and quality control on ourselves at the beginning of the week. I think that's healthy. Again, kind of like we did last bye week, focusing on the things that we've done well and try to expand on them, try to minimize or even potentially throw out schemes or plays or coverages or pressures that haven't been as efficient or we don't do well. So I think it's a mix of what we do in the office, getting rest, refreshing ourselves physically, mentally, really emotionally. It's been a long season. It's been a COVID, I think, this year has really taken its toll on all of us. It really has. And so you need a little bit of time away from this office and this complex, and I think it refreshes all of us a little bit. And so you got to have the right mix of it during the week.
Go back to Don.
Is there anything you're going to do to take it kind of I'm sorry, just let me jump in real quick.
Yeah.
As a follow-up. Is there anything you're going to do in terms like with your family or anytime you're going to give off to the staff, like kind of to speak to what you're talking about, get away from the facility?
Yeah, we'll take off about mid-Friday afternoon and then all day Saturday and not come in till Sunday afternoon, and that's maybe a solid 48 hours. That's pretty good in season. We don't typically do that, but this late in the year we're going to, just to refresh a little bit for the players and the coaches. I will be at the 6th grade Lubbock City flag football quarterfinals with hopes to get to the semifinals right after that if my man's team can win. And then Sunday's the Super Bowl. So I'll be excited to watch my 6th grader play.
Go back to Don.
David Collier would like to know what time that game is so he can come out and shoot you up cheering.
Okay. DC, Don, I pride myself on being prepared for your questions, Don. I failed today. I do have no clue what time Wyatt plays. Jen will put us in the car and we'll go. I don't know. DC, I'll let you know if you need some news that night. He's got a pretty good team.
Hey, if this were a normal year, no COVID or anything, considering you and your staff's ties to Oklahoma, would you go to the Bedlam game to scout, or that's probably a dumb question?
No, it's...
Since you get all the film anyway, it doesn't really matter.
I would if we could. I think professionally people would look down on that. So no, I wouldn't go.
Okay. And can you also, going back to talking about your defensive line for a moment, Nick McCann, was that, is it accurate to say that he's opted out? Is it COVID related or is it for other reasons?
I just let him, Don, we'll take the same stance, let him make his statement if he chooses to.
Okay. Now you've had obviously a few games with that situation with your defensive line. How do you feel like your interior guys have picked up the slack, particularly with Jalen obviously having a major role and Troy Teo having to step in and
Right.
kind of your second guy there?
Right. Well, Jalen and, we've played with Jalen and Troy on the inside. Tony Bradford has gone back and forth. He's been very effective. Tony has, when his play is at the nose position. We've played a 4 linebacker set, against TCU and as well against Baylor, with only 2 D linemen in the game. And those guys have rotated through. Tyree looks and shows flashes that I think he's capable of being a really legit D-end in the Big 12. Just consistency and continuing to learn techniques and fundamentals that Coach Randolph wants to teach him and being more consistent for him. And I think time is on his side right now. I think he's going to play well. Devin Drew has played pretty well. He's flashed the last couple of weeks. I've been happy with Devin. Blitty is playing about, give or take 8 to 12 snaps a game. And for a true freshman D-line, that's good. That's a start, and I think Phillip has got tremendous upside. He's physically, he's pretty strong for a young guy. All these guys need Dave Scholl's winter off season with no interruptions with COVID, a spring ball and no interruptions from May until August. I think, that's something that as we try to develop these guys up front, Don, that will be imperative that, hopefully we don't have any interruptions in that next 8-month period because that's really important in their development.
Go to Collier.
All right, Coach, I've got the same duty as you. I'm going to the Metroplex for softball, so I might have to pass that on to Eric, so just an FYI.
You got a little bit longer drive than I do.
Yeah, a tad bit. Saying that, you might not know, but if it does work out, do you watch the opponent? Like, will you watch Bedlam tonight from your or Saturday from your house, or do you just wait to get the cut up?
No, we'll probably watch it. It'll be a good game to watch, and maybe watching it from my phone on the side of the football field. Yeah, I'll probably watch some of it.
Do you watch it differently? I know that's kind of strange as a coach. You probably watch all football games as a coach, or can you sit back and just enjoy it, for lack of a better term? I don't know if I would enjoy that game because you're always kind of looking at schemes and it'll be tilted towards Oklahoma State and then game situations and how coaches are handling them. It's really hard sometimes, David, to watch it maybe as a fan or as enjoy it. Quite frankly, I catch myself saying, rewind it. And it drives my wife crazy, my oldest daughter, and they're like, Dad, just watch it. And I'm like, no, hand me the remote, rewind that. What formation was that? Was that, FIB? Was that into the boundary? Where did that running back start before he went in motion? And then they'll tell me to chill out. And so they usually get the remote taken away from me, and I said, I'll just figure it out in the office tomorrow.
We'll have a question from Taylor, then we'll go back to Jarrett.
You talked about Phillip a little bit earlier, but in particular on the offensive side of the ball, a lot of your true freshmen have come in and had some really big minutes. What about this program empowers those true freshmen to come in and not only play big minutes, but to be big-time playmakers, who are, able to score touchdowns so early in their career?
Taylor, I think probably our philosophy here in this program of the best players are going to play. And I think that empowers players when they come in, whether they're a grad transfer all the way down to a true freshman or even a walk-on, that they're going to get the chance to come in and compete. And if they're
in the mix, if they're in the top whatever rotation at each position kind of rotates different, that they'll have the ability to play. And we don't make promises in recruiting of starting jobs. We make promises of giving guys the immediate opportunity to compete. Case in point, really, even outside the skill guys are Caleb Rogers and Philip Bliddy. And nobody would have thought that those two guys could have come in and done it, and we gave them a chance, and they've proven to be in the top. For Caleb, it ended up being the top 7 or 8 O-linemen, and then now he's in the top, he started the other day, so the top 5. Philip in that D-line rotation for Coach Randolph. Most of the guys playing right now are on offense. We have, Polk, Price at receiver, Holcomb at tight end, Taj at tailback, and those guys have come in, and what they've done is they've learned what we've done from a mental standpoint. They've learned the playbook, they've learned how to get lined up, and then their abilities have been able to be showcased. And so I just think hopefully this program empowers every player, no matter scholarship or non-scholarship, freshmen all the way to their seniors, that we're going to compete. It's all about competition, and we're going to compete every day. And the guys that produce and play the best are the ones that are going to play. And, I think that's encouraging if you're a true freshman.
Well, and is it encouraging for you as a head coach? I mean, do you almost have to turn around and pat your coaches on the back for being able to identify something in a player and coming in and being part of their development so early on? I mean, what does that speak about your staff's ability to recruit guys that are right for this program?
Well, some guys that are ready to come in and compete immediately, and some maybe need another year, or some have guys ahead of them that are more experienced and playing better. And so each situation's a little bit different. But the ability to recruit at a high level is something that we need to do, evaluation as well as the development. So the development phase here is even while guys are playing. It's not, he redshirted or anything like that. So I just think you have to do both in recruiting. Jarrett and I have had these conversations. It's not only recruiting, but it's the development phase once they get here. And, Jarrett, again, I think the recruiting classes ought to be evaluated, 3 years down the line. That's how you should evaluate recruiting classes, and how well are they playing within your scheme and how well are you developing them.
Speaking of, we'll go back to Jared.
Yeah, speaking of, I wanted to ask you about recruiting. Obviously, you can't talk about any individual recruits, but it is an open bye week, and we're about a month out from the early period. How do you feel like this crazy recruiting cycle? How do you feel like y'all stand overall right now?
I feel like we stand good. It's, numbers-wise, as we've talked about, it won't be as big as, our last year's class. And we're going to have a certain amount of junior college guys as well as transfers in the class, which are going to be later. Whether it's they end up signing in December or later, as in spring semester, where we've gotten a little bit more of ours. And so from a numbers standpoint, I think you can probably anticipate that. I'm smiling because when you say bye week and recruiting, again, I'd be thinking tomorrow after practice, I'm immediately on a plane for a Thursday night game here in Texas, 6 or 7 schools on Friday, 2 games on Friday night. That's our typical bye week. And, that's what I look forward to. And head coaches don't get to go out as much, and I always look forward to bye week to be able to get out and evaluate, but also be able to support those commitments. We would be making sure that every commitment that there's a coach at one of their games. You can only go one time, but unfortunately right now it's all dead, as y'all know.
Now, has it helped at all in terms of this year's team or with preparation, since the staff is in town and not all over the state, all over the region? What have you recruiting or no?
In terms of recruiting or our team, did you say team?
No, in terms of like your current team, like with your coaches still being mostly in Lubbock, I assume, or even getting family time. Has that helped at all in terms of, like, have you been able to make a positive out of this, of not being able to do any in-person recruiting going out?
Yeah, we can do a little bit more in this complex, Jarrett, with our team and our players. But if you're giving some guys some time off, then that's, you're kind of probably takes away from it a little bit. But, you know, I think everybody probably wishes we were out on the road recruiting, to be honest with you.
Go back to Don.
Matt, following up on your situation today, so you lose Keyshawn, but I noticed Dalton Rigdon was back in there at crunch time on Saturday night. And considering the play of Miles Price, all the experience he's gotten over the last several weeks, are you still in a pretty good situation?
I think so.
And how's Dalton look since he's
Good.
come back from all that time off?
Good. You know, Mannix is now practicing full speed as well, Don. So we've still got 3 at that spot. All 3 of those guys, and you know, I know by the middle of next week, Luke Wells will have that rotation down. We typically rotate. For sure, we rotate 2, and oftentimes we even get a 3rd in there. So I still feel like we have 3 experienced guys to play that spot, and we'll be just fine. Those guys will do a good job.
At safety, last week, you noted it after the game, yet Dadrian Taylor Demerson played most of the time there with legged out. How do you feel like he played, and if he has to be the guy again at Oklahoma State, will he be any more fired up considering he's an Oklahoma guy?
Yeah, Rabbit played very well, Don. Very solid. 75 snaps. He played 20 snaps in special teams. He covered kicks. He was on punt. He was on punt return. Kickoff return was the off returner, although all those balls got basically kicked out. So he played just under 100 snaps, and I thought he played very well. He played confident. Really good open field tackle on the play coming out. The first series of the fourth quarter, you know, on the sprint out pass coming out of the end zone down there in the south end zone. But he had a couple open field tackles. I thought he played very, very solid. I'm proud of Rabbit.
Go to Brandon.
Hey Coach, just one for me. We talked a lot about Garibay, his performance. What about your long snapper and your holder? What do you kind of like from them?
Yeah, you know, I think they've been consistent all year. Rizzo and Mark Richardson. Mark's done a good job, and you know that's part of the battery that often get overlooked, except when except when something bad happens, you know. But they've certainly done a really nice job.
You have any last second question for Coach? See one hand going up. All right. We'll go to Jarrett and then Don to wrap up.
I don't know if you can answer this or not, but I thought I'd throw it out there. How are you all splitting the reps at quarterback right now?
It's about 50-50, Jarrett, about the same as what we did last week.
Okay, is Columbia still going with one, like, is he like the starters with ones, or is it the Bowman? Are you willing to talk about that, or how is that?
No, yeah, it's a good question. I mean, Jared, if we had to play today, if today was the game, Allen would take the first series. But we would still anticipate playing Henry at some point. Today's practice, I think they went about 50-50 with the ones and with the twos. But somebody's obviously got to take the first snap, but like I said, if it was today, which means there's 10 more days or whatever there is, you know, until we get to Stillwater. So we'll see how practices go the rest of the week, and we'll see how next week goes in terms of their performances in practice. But yeah, I think the plan is to play both. No, I don't. I mean, the plan is to play both. And once we get in the game, it'll be very similar to last week. Just kind of go for a feel and how each one of them are performing.
All right, we'll finish with Don.
Sorry about that. What was your thoughts on seeing Anderson, Texas postponed today?
I just heard about it, Don, coming off the field. Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate. And we've fortunately been just above the threshold a couple of weeks. You know, we'll see. Hopefully we can get our last two in, and Kansas is okay by the time we play them.
that'll do it for today.
Okay.
Please let us know if you have any.
I know it's probably just dependent on the hot hand, but having Allen having success a couple of years ago in Stillwater, does that play into maybe if today was having that familiarity with Stillwater and knowing what it takes to play there? Is that into it in any way?
You know, David, I mean, by me saying if we had to play today, he would take the first series is more reflective of the fourth quarter from Saturday, and how he finished the game.